To say traveling, in my first semester, there was a lot of traveling, for me to, to get to the class. I had to travel for like 1.5 hour for, it's actually short distance by car, but due to the lack of, my own transport, I had to travel by bus. It would take me like 1.5 hour, changing two buses, sometimes with the cold weather. That's really, that I gotta say, is my probably the worst experience. Well, back in my country, the public transportation plays a big role. So even if you don't have a means of your own transport, there's always an alternative. If you go to a new place, there's always a cheaper way of getting from place to place. But that's not necessarily the case here. Let's say if I miss a bus, like not now, but in my first semester when I used to travel in buses, I when I miss a bus, I probably have to take a cab. That probably cost me like $30, just to get home for like 6 7 miles. It's not really a pleasant experience.
The biggest difference is definitely public transportation because here I feel like only big cities have really good public transportation system, whereas at home you would go anywhere with using public transportation, buses, trains. Um, that's kind of hard to get used to, especially when you're an international student and you don't have your own car to get around with. So that's the biggest issue I found when traveling.
In Saudi Arabia, I traveled like between from the, the capital of Saudi Arabia, which is Riyadh, to the south of Saudi Arabia, which is Abha, by car, and it took me like 11, no, like 8 hours or something like that. And all I saw while I was driving is sand, a lot of sand. Roads are crappy, and not all of them are two-sided, one-sided roads. Even if you're driving like 60, like 80 miles per hour, same thing. Uh, Two-sided. You learn a lot of stuff while you drive there, which is crappy. You see some weird signs like "Beware of camels" in Saudi Arabia. But when I came here, every like 10 miles, you see there's no sand first of all. You see a lot of trees, a lot of good nature. You see every 10 minutes good rest stops to rest in. You find fast food like if you're hungry while you're traveling, you can just stop by, get some food and good food, and keep walking. And the signs that you see here is like beware of deers instead of beware of camels. So that's a good thing also. I traveled here from Fairfield to Washington D.C. by car, and it was a nice ride. And you don't feel the time. The time flies by very fast, which is a very good thing. Transportation here in the U.S. is organized and it's clean. In Egypt, it's not organized, and Egypt is actually a crowded country, and transportation in Egypt is very difficult to get. For an example, to get on a bus, you probably need to fight to get on a bus. Um, Here in the U.S., there's times, there's schedules. Yeah, if you miss a bus right now, you know there is another bus coming in 5 minutes, and it's all connected. But I would like to add to that there's a disadvantage in the public transportation in the U.S. that's not in our countries, which is in the U.S. also they have an organized public transportation, but their transportation doesn't reach all the areas, and it takes a lot out of you to figure out what kind of transportation you need to ride to get to the destination that you're looking for. If it's a place that's nearby, you can find transportation that will take you directly there. But if it's somewhere far away, it's difficult. In Egypt, I never had that problem. There's transportation to get you anywhere and take you from anywhere in Egypt. Another thing would be the prices. In the U.S., it's expensive, and in Egypt, it's very cheap.
there's a huge difference. And I'm not saying that was I'm not taking in consideration the currency difference or anything, but still, it's way cheaper in Egypt than over here in the U.S.
Well, the first difference is the cars. Like the cars in Jordan are all stick shift. I don't know how to do stick shift. That was my dad tried to teach me one time, and it shut down. I don't know what happened. Here, all the cars are automatic. It's so much easier. You can get your license here. Like I got my license at 16. I went to Jordan. I like when I was maybe 17. I couldn't even drive there, and there's like a whole long process. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. It's so much easier to get from place to place. Here they have subways, they have trains, and they have I don't know, like domestic flights. I think it's just so much easier to travel um, than than Jordan. But at the same time, in Jordan, people carpool. Oh, I'm going to town. Come with me. So there's more of a sense of community than here. Because here, everybody has their own car and everybody's going in their own direction. Like, I mean, we don't even own. I have one of eight people in my family. We don't even own a big car because everybody just kind of goes on their own. So you lose a sense of community, but you gain the sense of freedom and the sense of individuality. So
In Istanbul, there was a crazy traffic jam. So sometimes it's almost impossible to travel. You got stuck in the traffic. And in New York, I think it's so close. But in Connecticut, I'm okay. Sometimes there's a traffic in I-95. And the cars are better here. So I feel more comfortable while driving or traveling. But for example, the buses and trains are better in Turkey. Here, I hate buses. I don't like trains as well. But I mean, sometimes we got stuck because of the weather here. Well, it never happens in Istanbul. Maybe 2 days or 3 days. But